Welcome to Toffee TV. It's live at 5. Apologies for being a little bit late. We have been doing a bit of outside filming today for our Christmas special next week. We have been having a little bit of fun, playing a little bit of football. It was the old men, I mean that's Ned's name for us, versus the youngsters, Ned and Cam, in some challenges. Very, very interesting. Very interesting to see the degrees of talent on show, regardless of age. And you can find out more next week on the Christmas special. Some nice, good stuff. Some fun stuff.
It was interesting.
Yeah, be interesting to see how Ned edits it all together.
It will.
You know, but
hopefully it looked good.
Hopefully it looked good. It felt good. It was good. To be out on a pitch, playing a bit of foosball and you know, kicking the ball.
Leather. Kicking the leather.
Is it leather anymore?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
A leather, bit of rubber.
Is it leather? Together. I don't think it's leather.
It is leather.
Is it? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Sure it's not synth?
Don't use leather anymore.
Voice of God there. Voice of God.
As if you'd even listen. Haven't seen some of that.
I don't think it's leather.
Maybe it isn't leather.
I don't think it's leather anymore. I think it's a synthetic
No, I
material.
don't really think you... Yeah, I won't spoil anything.
No, don't spoil anything about the challenges.
No, it was nothing to do with the challenges. It was just some of the stuff he said. Just some of the stuff he said.
It was hilarious. It was funny.
Ned is funny.
It was funny.
Ned's great.
And we were playing with last year's proper Premier League winter ball, which was nice. Nice to kick.
Most definitely.
Enjoyed it. Rafa Benitez has had his press conference today. He's enjoying life by the looks of it. He's feeling no pressure.
No.
He's got the Denise Baxendale and Mercedes
Bakken.
There was a name missing from that list.
Fair play to him.
But he feels like, I think he actually said, this is more than a 3-year project. Well, it is now.
Which is interesting.
And he also said that, we did say the job is harder than what he thought it'd be.
But he said, he did qualify that by saying because of the injuries, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I think what he's saying there is, if you read between the lines, is the squad's crap.
Yeah.
When I've got my best team, it's all right. When I haven't got my best team, there's nothing to come in, which is what Evertonians would have been able to tell him in June and July, whenever he was first linked with it.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new there. There's nothing we didn't know. We know that when if Everton can ever name like their strongest 11, 12 players, then it's all right. It's a team that can win, get football matches. Once you take 3 and 4 out of that and put people in, the drop-off is incredible.
Oh, it's incredible.
Isn't it? Really. And I think that's what the problem is with Everton and with some other clubs, is that other clubs have got, maybe Everton might have a better start in 11 or very similar, but other clubs' squad, their players are just better than ours. You know, the ones who are underneath, and that's what he's finding out now, isn't he? Still doesn't, for me though, it still doesn't excuse some of his terrible decisions.
No, and it's how you look after players as well, isn't it? And I think it's how you manage players. I listen, someone like Townsend, I know it was an impact injury, but after a while, if you play players every game, they're going to pick up injuries. It's sod's law that it's now. But I think they're always going to pick up injuries. And I think maybe that's something he should have done better. Ironically, when he took teams out against Huddersfield and QPR, people give him stick for that. But I think that's what he was trying to do. But I think there's been other times in the season where maybe just a couple, one at a time maybe, just dropping one out.
I think he probably would have. I mean, I'm not defending him because I think his record's atrocious at the moment. Yeah. I think he's tried. I mean, he took Townsend off on like 65 minutes, 70 minutes, some games. I think he probably, if he would have had everybody available, more or less, I think we might have seen a bit more of that, certainly with the likes of Townsend. But, I mean, they've got the data, haven't they? We haven't got the data.
No, I know. I just think that, you know, he has bemoaned that a few times.
Yeah.
And it's there for him to do.
It's like the same as like not putting players on. It's the same as not, I don't care. Talking to like Paul Mason the other day, and he was like, yeah, but you know, you're putting a young striker on who mightn't be very good, then like, why would you put him on? It's like, well, you put him on because you're chasing a game. He's a lad who, talk about Ellis Sims. So he's a lad who quite clearly knows where the net is. Whether he's good enough to, like, I'm not saying he should be starting for Everton. Quite clearly, I'm not saying that, or he's the answer to all our problems. But if you're chasing a game, you're 2-1 down, and you just need a different... He's a big lad, so he's not like, oh, can he cope physically? But I said this after Brentford. The ball might just drop in an area to him, and he's there to tap it in. Something like that. And it's like, if Benitez was doing that kind of stuff, I'd have more, like, leeway with him. I'd go, you know what, at least he's having a go. He's trying everything. He can't help but getting so many injuries. He's throwing on young players. He's trying to find a fix to help us. But when he stands there and the time ebbs away and he doesn't do that, that winds me up.
It was the same against Brentford, wasn't it? He was sitting there and maybe sitting there again on Sunday. And
1 goal down.
You're thinking to yourself, you've got 1 goal down, you've got 5 minutes to go, they'll throw the ball up for another 4 or 5 maybe. And you're thinking, at least if you pump the ball into the box from a free kick or something, and it just hits Rondon on the head and then falls to Ellis Sims because he's an extra striker in the box.
Yeah. You might grab
might grab a goal, mightn't you? You might grab something. You know, if you've got Anthony Gordon ripping down the right like he did and he looks up and he sees 2 or 3 of them in the box rather than just, you know, there's of course with 5 minutes to go, you know, because that showed it on Sunday what can happen where is you don't try and then they go down the other end. And mistakes cost you, and you concede a 3rd goal, and the game's over anyway. So with 2-1 with 5 minutes to go, you might as well just go for it. And I think fans respond to that a lot more than thinking you tried everything to win that game.
Yeah, definitely.
And we've seen from other sides what they'll do to win games of football, the chances they'll take. You know, you don't have teams going on. No, we're all right as we are. We don't get me wrong. There's times when too many players, forward players, can almost mean that the opposition will just throw everyone back and there's no space. But that wasn't like that for us. We only had 1 striker on the pitch on Sunday, and that was Rondon. And the others are trying to be attackers and are trying to create chances. But why not?
But it'd be a show of something different, wouldn't it? It'd be a show of, like, you go, oh, hang on,
and also you've just give 5 minutes to Sims, and in that 5 minutes, people might go, oh, I like the look of him. He was a ham. I remember, and you'll remember, Anachabi wasn't supposed to be anything. There was talk of him, and everyone was like... And I'm not, by the way, I'm not saying any of these players are going to be amazing. Because I don't at the moment. But Anachabi was a player where he was just like, he's all right. He's not so much. The manager, David Moyes, thought, I can get something out of this lad. He's big and he's strong. Put him on wide, put him up front. He's great with his back to goal. He might just give us something. And he did. And that lad scored some really important goals. Was a handful. You know. But
the thing is, you can look at Sims and go, well, we'll loan him out in January because Blackpool want him. So you can have that plan for him, but you can go right now. We've got no Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Richarlison was off the pitch injured. Let's just throw him on because for 10 minutes, go up, say to him, get up alongside Rondon and make yourself be a handful for the defence, work hard, put everything, almost like as a sub, put your 90 minutes into 10 minutes there, 15 minutes, run around, press, chase. Gives the lad a thing of like, I work hard to get me go here. It gives other young players at the club.
It gives...
Oh, look, get on in this.
Do you know what else it does as well? And I've said this a few times about a few different things. It gives people less reasons to moan. So you put a player like that on, you know, you hear it all the time. Why don't you put a young player on? And you can't talk to people because it's been proven on lots of occasions that you put a kid on and they might just get, for that one time in their life,
something breaks.
Because people go, put a young son, they go, it might be good enough. Well, better than this crap. And you can't ever go against that. So if you put a kid on like Ellis Sims for 5 minutes, you give him confidence and the fans go, you know what, he did try. He did try. Because if tomorrow night Rondon got a cold or tripped over in the street or whatever, and then you were like, lose our next striker, and Toshin's not ready.
Sims, isn't it?
Toshin's never... I mean, ultimately,
well, Toshin wasn't even on the bench.
That's what I'm saying. But ultimately, you know, would you want to put Toshin anyway? It might get down to that kid and you're like, imagine if it came to the situation where
Ellis Sims had to start a game, and he'd never kicked the ball in the Premier League before, and you're like...
You know what's really mad about the whole thing, though, is earlier in the season, he put Dobbin on 2 or 3 times. Yeah. Like, he put him on at Old Trafford, stuff like that, and he, brought him on that, like, the friendly, and he put him on, I think, did he come on the league game, or... Sure he did.
He came on at Goodison.
Come on at Goodison against Norwich, I think, for like 11, 12 minutes. He's put him on a few games. Sims is physically a strong lad, and you're behind, so you're chasing something. I'd rather, if he'd have thrown Sims on, and Everton were like that on Sunday, throwing everything at it, and Palace broke and made it 3-1, you'd turn round and go, well, you know what? He threw everything at them to try to nick a point.
He's not.
And he caught us on the other end of the pitch.
He's not emotional enough to do that, though. He's not an emotional enough fella for me. And I think sometimes you need this. I don't think he's the kind of fella who'd ever go... Like, if Liverpool... if Liverpool were 1-0 up... sorry. If it was 0-0 with Liverpool, like, at Goodison, say, or at Anfield, and it was the 85th minute and he looked at his bench, for those circumstances, who would he put on?
If Liverpool, you mean Klopp?
Yeah.
Someone like Origi.
Well, he'd put Origi on, wouldn't he? Because he'd go...
Especially if it was in December.
He'd go, because he'd go, this is how it works.
He gets a goal, yeah.
There's an emotional thing about this. Which you never think that about Benitez. You'd never think, like, he ever thought like that. Where some managers do, I know it's like a little bit hokey-pokey, but it's like, he doesn't have that emotion where it's like... You can imagine, couldn't you, if it was like someone's last game, and he was sitting on the bench, and there was one sub left, and like there was 10 minutes to go, and he wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, he'd resist it, just because, like, there's no emotion to him at all.
But if you look at, like, Klopp, like, their first season, remember when he played Arsenal at home? It was in his first season, and he put that Stephen Colker, who's a defender, he put him up front, and he headed one down, and the equaliser, I think it might have even been Benteke or something, equalised for them out of nothing. And it was because he threw this 6'3" centre-back up front for 10 minutes to try to get a draw. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not advocating that Sims plays every week, not as far from it. But what I'm saying is, if you're 1 goal down away from home and the game's petering out, why not? Give yourself, the fans are already having a pop at you for taking someone off. Now, as it happened, he's injured and he's been proven right. Yeah. But the fans are having a go at you. Take away those. If you want the noise to die down, take away people's reasons for having a pop at you. Now, no one's ever going to go, well, we really love him, we're going to sing Rafa, Benitez and all that. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. But take away people's reasons for throwing stones at you. So one of them is he never brings like young kids on, or he never gives youth a chance. Well, you're 2-1 down. You're losing the game anyway. You throw Ellis Sims on and go 2 up front and go, we'll just try to get the ball up there and see if we can get on the end or something. And they break because we're attacking and they can make it 3-1. Everyone got caught, didn't we? We were trying to get that goal and we got caught. You can't really say anything. But if you just peter the game, let the game just ebb away with the same as what you're doing, then, and you've got a sub left. Substitutes are there
and that's happened, like,
to change the game.
That's happened against Wolves, it happened against Brentford, it's happened against Crystal Palace, where games where...
Brentford, they had 3 forwards on the bench and didn't bring any of them.
That's what I'm saying. There's 3 games there. We didn't play very well in any of them. No. But we really
we could have got something out of all 3. Anthony Gordon almost equalised at Wolves. Keepers made a great save in the last minute off the header, last couple of minutes. Sunday, he probably should have scored. Keepers made a good save. And we weren't playing well, but we could have ended up with a point. But that's what you do. Substitutes, the whole idea of them is... the whole idea of them is... to change the game, what they're there for, so throw them on. And it's that kind of stuff.
Why teams have good subs.
And so I have got some sympathy for him in saying the job's harder than he thought, because he's decimated by injuries, but he has contributed also to this bad run with poor substitutions.
But that's the point as well, going back to what I was saying before. If you're willing to not... If you're willing to give people a chance, and I know he's done it with Anthony Gordon, and take other players out and say, right, you might need a rest here. Yeah. Because otherwise, it's like, I suppose it's the same argument with the Corey tomorrow. The Corey's on a yellow card, isn't he? He's on a suspension if he gets booked. And I know you might look at the team, but I'd leave him out. But then again, we might have other players.
Wouldn't be able to.
Rough front.
You just say to the core, do not tackle anybody.
I know, but that's not how the game works anymore.
No. Could be anything.
He could slip over and give away a book and get a book.
Carl's in at number 1, says hi, and says, quite a good press conference today. Okay.
Fair enough.
Rafa seemed upbeat and confident of the future, and Dean seems to have signed his own exit papers from the sounds of it. Interesting.
Yeah, Dean's going to Disneyland.
Yeah, Dean does look like he's leaving, doesn't he? Richard Parr says, evening lads, the Benitez quote doesn't fill me with confidence, to be honest.
It's funny, isn't it? Two different people have two different views on the press conference.
Bobby C says, Benitez claims he knows the people and the city, but he clearly doesn't know the football that Evertonians demand of their team. Just because we've endured crap for years doesn't mean we'll accept it from yet another poor managerial appointment. Yeah. Bill Cummings, again, just showing you how different people view press conferences, says his press conferences are increasingly Trumpian.
Yeah, but what I would say about, I don't watch press conferences because I do find them pathetic on every count. I think the more, he strikes me as a man where the more stuff's thrown at him, the more he puffs out his chest. And that's not a good thing, I don't think, for a football.
Like Allardyce for me.
No, that's a good, because it's protecting your own brand. I don't think that's a particularly good thing for a club like Everton who are in this kind of... This is what I said, saying this yesterday, put it on Twitter. Some people misinterpreted what I was saying. The situation on Sunday with the sub, right? So the sub happens, Richarlison's had a moan. The manager then has made sure then, so every fan has gone, basically, what are you taking Richarlison for? Because nobody gives him the benefit of the doubt. Because he hasn't created the benefit of the doubt.
There's no trust there.
So then he comes out on Thursday, then on Monday, there's like something on Everton's media, basically on the socials, basically reaffirming that it was an injury and video of him holding his leg. Yesterday, there's the update, the injury update. How often does that happen the day before a press conference? And then today, Richarlison puts an apology out. And that's fine. The manager was right? Fair enough. And I hold my hands up. No, he doesn't get the benefit of doubt. And then it almost like, then he's almost forcing it on people and going, see, I'm right. And it's that thing of like puffing your chest out. And he's right. He is right. But there has to be like a softening of him where it's like, not, see, I was right. It's more like we have to find some common ground here. If you're going to be our manager for the future, now, some people might think he could still get sacked tomorrow, Friday or Monday, depending on results. But if he really is going to be our manager, he's got to find some common ground with fans. Now, don't get me wrong, there's fans who are right down there and are completely finished.
Never coming back.
There's fans that are in between, and then there's fans who are probably right in that middle who are like, I wanted to really back you, but you're making it really hard for me. You've got to try and like grab some of the fans back. So then at least you get some fans who go, come on, Richarlison was injured there. You saw that. It was a silly reaction, blah, blah, blah. But Richarlison hasn't helped the situation. I appreciate that. And it's good that he's come out and said that, basically. But I think the manager, and I'm not calling him out here and think, I just think if you're gonna be the Everton manager and you've got to know there's that little bit of dislike. So meet people in the middle, like Ballengate. Ballengate putting tweets out, laughing at fans, like you're wrong, he's right. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Because all you do is piss people off by doing that, by saying you're wrong, I'm right. You're not going to get people on side doing that. You're going to get people on side by almost getting fans to understand how you do things. What is your approach? Yeah. And I think he has to, this thing of not having a personality is not going to work at Everton. Because I think what he's done is he's come in and gone, I'm out of here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just not going to have anything to do with those fans and I'm just going to do my job. Whereas I just feel like I'm not expecting to come out going, I want to give everyone a arm around the shoulder. But I think that there could be ways. One of the ways maybe could be come in here, come sit in here, have a chat with us, or do the rounds on all the podcasts, or go meet some supporters groups, and be like, right, I want to have you're the fans, I'm the manager. Let's have a chat. Let's not be abusive, nor beds. Let's have a chat. What do you want from this? And what do I want from this? And let's see if we can get it to work. And let's be honest with each other. And let's talk about the state of the football club where we are at the moment. And let's find some common ground. And it doesn't have to be, oh, we all love Rafa. It's just like people then might go, do you know what? I do feel a bit sorry. The injury list is horrendous. It's terrible. And if like, say someone we liked was in charge, we'd all be going, look at the injury list, it's terrible. It doesn't even matter what the style. I think a lot of people would be going, he has to play that style because of the injuries or whatever, whatever you believe. But the injury list is horrendous. But I do feel like him and the media team and the club need to find just that little bit of understanding where we're all coming from. And that might take, it sounds like a broken record.
It might take a while.
That takes someone like Alan Myers being at the club and having the bollocks to come out and go, go and have a chat with a few of these. Let's get a round table. Let's get a few of the podcasters in. Let's have a round table. Let's have a chat. We're all grown-ups. You act like grown-ups. He'll act like grown-ups. Let's ask some questions. That's simple. Could do it in a room where there's no media. There's no interview. There's no nothing. And it's just, let's go and have a chat. Let's be grown up about this.
It's better, yeah.
No, I know, I'm just saying.
See, I think he came out after the game and I think he was right what he said. Like, you can't explain every decision at the time. He hasn't got a megaphone to go, Richarlison's actually injured and was holding a thing up and all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He can't do that, can he, in a game? So, Richarlison, let's be honest, Richarlison poured the oil onto the fire, didn't he? If Richarlison had just held his leg and waved and clapped the fans, everyone would have gone, he's injured. Yeah. Class. But he didn't, he went off. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying about the benefit of the doubt. He'll never get the benefit of the doubt.
No, of course not.
And that's, in a way, that is unfair on him. Like, because Richarlison has thrown him under the bus there. But we're always going to back Richarlison over him. But that's because of him. That's not because we don't want to see Richarlison go off. We've done this with loads of players.
This is interesting from Tony Johnson. Says, even in Baz and Pedro, do either of you lads feel a bit silly after finding out Richarlison was in fact injured? I think I said in my match reaction, if he isn't injured, then it's a terrible decision. If he's injured, then I'll hold my hands up. So, no, I don't feel silly because I hadn't heard his interview when I'd done it. So I did give that caveat. If he isn't injured, it's a poor decision. But if he is injured, what can he do?
I hadn't heard his interview because obviously we do the things after the game. I don't feel silly, no, because everything we do is based on emotion. A lot of the time. We don't have the facts in front of us. That's for other people to deal with. No, because at the end of the day, this is what I'm talking about, is you've got two sides there. You've got Richarlison's side, who's saying basically, why are you taking me off? And you've got the manager's side. And this is what I'm saying. It's like, no one's going to back the manager there. Where common sense probably tells you that we should have, but we're not going to, because we don't want to. And no one's going to stick their head up and go, you get all people, listen, I've seen them on Twitter going, knobheads and all this. Were you saying that at the time? Were you publicly coming out at the time and going, what are you on about? Richarlison's injured there? Because that's the other thing. That's what I'm saying. He hasn't got the benefit of the doubt. No. I think he did early on. Early on, you give him the benefit of the doubt on certain things. You know, when Don was playing and he had the foot injury, we were all like, well, he's got to play, hasn't he? And then he'll get to the international break. He won't go to England. He'll come back fine. Do you know what I mean? And I think that, because that's common sense.
But he went off. He even went off after 70 minutes against Brighton, and no one was like, well, Benitez, what are you doing?
Exactly.
He went off.
You got the benefit of the doubt. You're going to... Because imagine if he hadn't played. People going, what are you not playing for? He's got a manageable injury.
I think if Richarlison would, like you said, because we'd all seen it. You seen him go down the first half, and he was like looking at the bench and holding his calf, so you knew he was carrying something. Then he come out for the second half. And then if he'd have gone down again, if they'd have thingied to him and he'd have gone, and the manager puts his thing up, he could have turned, clapped the fans, like touched his leg and walked off. Everyone would have gone, he's injured, he's injured. He wouldn't have had to go with the manager. When the player then turns around and is like, throws his thing down, and he's like that, tapping the badge, and he's kicking out and he's moaning and muttering to himself, shaking his head, then you interpret those things as he's fuming at coming off, because he didn't come off. The manager grabbed him, don't forget, and had a word with him. Now, so we aren't privy to the half-time team talk that said he's injured, are we? So everyone, Evertonians, are singing, you know, however many was there, 3,000 or whatever, was singing songs to the manager because they'd seen the reaction of Richarlison. They're at the ground. You don't even see it on the TV half the time. You see it when you're there. Everyone's at. His body language was saying he didn't want to come off. He was shaking his head when his number went up. So, no, Richarlison's the one that should be feeling silly, really.
That's what I'm saying. We have to find, if he really truly is going to be, you know, we said today it's a 3+ year job. If he truly is going to be a long-term manager.
But what can I just ask that? A 3+ year job for what though? So the 3+ years is to offer for Everton to win stuff? No, is that what he's saying?
That's
or just his contract?
No, that's his fast tag subscription.
Okay. No, but realistically, is it to get Everton to Europe? Is Everton to win something? Everton to be challenging for it?
I don't know, but
or is it just to get to Bramley Moore?
It can't be like this for 3 years. No. If he was to stay, let's say he stayed for 3 years. It can't be like this for 3 years. You can't not like your manager for 3 years. You can't have animosity between your fans and your manager for 3 years. There has to, and this obviously this might be the best time of Christmas and everything can result in a poor way, and people's attitudes are different. But and a couple of wins can change the attitude of people. But we've got to find some common ground here. He's our manager, and if he wants to be the manager long term, the football club have got to put him in a better light. And that better light starts with going into a room with some fans and saying, this is what I want to do. Forget about press conferences, they're nonsense. Maybe you get 2 good questions out of 6, 7 or 8.
I think Alan Myers asked a couple of, I haven't seen it, but people have messaged me saying Alan Myers asked a couple of good questions. I think one of them was, do you think the owner needs to front up and speak to the fans? But I don't know what the response was, because Steve was who messaged me saying, really good question. Never me give.
See, that's on a broadcaster, that's on Sky. Just keep sending Myers, or keep...
because he knows what's going on,
he knows what's going on with the fan base. So that's what I'm saying. That kind of thing's important, that you do that. Because if questions are not asked, they're not going to come out and provide them themselves. They don't want the attention on the club. They don't want the attention that's been put on the club in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They don't want that. They want a nice quiet life. So I just think in the new year, if he's still the manager, I think Everton have to have a really serious think about how they're going to bridge this gap between the fans and the manager. And that, as I say...
To be honest though, right, what say like he come in here, right? What would you want to know from him that would satisfy your,
hang on. Well, hang on. Forget me, right?
No, but I can't.
No, I know. But what? Okay, well, fair enough. But you've got to be grown up about it, of course.
What would scratch your itch from him? Because
I don't know if I've got. I don't know. I'd probably want to know answers to questions that are. You'd have to be honest. So it would be things like the squad, the condition you found it in, the size of it. Was it fit for purpose? Should you have got more money in the? Maybe not more money. Would you have liked to have brought more players in the summer if you could have?
I think he'd have said yeah.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. You've got to. There needs to be honesty there. What do you want to do? How do you think you're going to do it? You know, and then you'd have to. But the thing about it is, and this plays into the whole part of it, and this is what I'm saying about building bridges. Humanise the fella. You know, you're the Everton manager. Would you? How do you feel about the relationship? Because you've got fans who don't particularly like you. Like, you're a human being. Does that bother you? You know. would you like a relationship, and how do you feel that can be bridged? Because forget about your Liverpool stuff, but somehow right now, and I just like to, I just think that it's not about me or me asking questions, or it's just about somebody.
No, I just meant as a fan.
No, I know, it's very hard when you're in it.
What would
you go, why aren't you playing him, or why didn't you bring Sims on?
No, but what I'm saying is, it's like, when you have a situation, it seems, where a large percentage of your fan base doesn't want the manager, right? How then does that become, what can he say that satisfies that? So if you're talking about like mending a relationship or trying to build, I understand what you're saying. You're trying to bridge something, but it's
baby steps.
You're getting something back from him.
Baby steps, isn't it? Well, but it is though, isn't it? We said this about Silva, and we should have spoke to Silva about this. It's about humour. I just think at the moment, I've always said this. I've said this about footballers, and I've said this about managers. If you don't care about your manager, you don't care about them being sacked. You don't care about their plans.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So Martinez, we all liked Martinez. We all thought he was a sound fella, and we all thought he was doing his best for Everton. It wasn't good enough, and he got more time than he ever should have because the club played on that, and because we all were sad to see him go. We knew he should have gone. Should have gone after the Liverpool game. The club should have given us a chance. The club should have had the bollocks to get rid of him, and that semi-final would have been bouncing for us instead of people within the ground fighting between themselves.
Yeah.
Horrible, one of the worst atmospheres I've ever been to in my life, because Everton fans were fighting with each other. Why were they fighting with each other? Because the club couldn't make a decision over a man that everybody knew was dead man walking, right? Silva had the personality of a dead cat, right? He couldn't speak to fans, and ultimately that lack of personality cost him the job because he couldn't speak to fans directly. He goes to press conferences. It was so when you came to sacking him, there was no one backing him because nobody knew the fella. Apparently he was boss off camera. Apparently he was boss with the written media. Apparently he was boss when he spoke Portuguese. Dead nice fella. But he had no link with us. So when it came to the game after Norwich, there was no one fighting in his corner. Nobody was prepared to go, this fella understands our football club. Let's give him a little bit more time. Take the pressure off. The owner might have gone, yeah, okay, well, let's just see what happens. It's that kind of thing that the club needs to get better at. And now you've got the ultimate one. A fella who managed Liverpool, a fella who won the Champions League for Liverpool, a fella who's done plays for Liverpool, a fella that the Reds have got tattoos of. He walks in and you're like, I want to give the fella a chance. Nice fella, knows the city. I want to give him, I'll try and give him a chance. The minute it turns, boom, I hate him, get out my club. Like, we can't, if he is going to stay in, like I've had people message me last couple, he'll go, he won't go. Unless the next two games are really embarrassing, I don't think he'll go. I think they'll try and ride it out, get to those 3 games after Christmas, hopefully pick up some results, and then buy a couple of players early on in January to go, seize our manager. I think they'll try and do that. I'm not saying that's what'll happen.
Maybe.
That football doesn't work like that. But we can't have this relationship with our manager going forward. We just,
and expect anything different.
Expect it. How can you go to how can you go to a football match? Me and Cam were talking before when you were doing the video with John Blaine in here. I was like talking about going to match and stuff. I was like, no, when people go, when's it been great? I tell you when I've really enjoyed football. 08, 09, brilliant seasons. Going to Europe, going to Nuremberg, going to Wolfsburg in 2013 was just those kind of trips. The football that day was great. That season wasn't great. Going to those games, going to away games and thinking, I'm going to turn up here today. 08, 09, team that fought, finished 5th, got to the cup final. If we'd had all our fit players, would have had a great chance. That to me is like what we should be doing. That's not like expecting to win anything. It's just like there's a camaraderie, togetherness. Starts with the manager. It filters all the way down. You believe in your manager, then you believe in your players, and you believe today we've got a chance because most of it.
Moyes fostered it.
Moyes, okay, when we went into the big games, used to sacrifice them, but ultimately sacrifice them so we can get like top 5.
Well, I mean, something Spurs did for years.
Yeah. And So now you've got a situation where they're holding the new ground over our heads. They're holding that like over our heads now, and they're going.
That's the hook, isn't it?
That's the hook. But if the football's going to have to improve, if it doesn't improve, and the people don't like the manager, people will stop going to games.
Yeah.
And it'll foster a bad atmosphere, and bad atmospheres is just a bad thing, isn't it?
Kyle says we are being totally ignored by the club. What's the point of Everton right now? No communication, no identity, no soul, no strategy, no love. EFC Essence says Machiri is the problem.
By the way, this is in the same week that Everton say the possibility of having a fan on the board. Yeah, I just want to have someone to have a conversation with the manager.
Yeah, it is mad, isn't it? Dylan says, do you think it's out of order that Rooney is better odds than Duncan to take over?
Massively. So about this, actually, this is a really good discussion. So, been watching anyone again, German footy ball, Bayern Munich documentary on Amazon. And there's a Bayern Munich one, and Baz has been watching the Juventus one. And I was just watching it watching what's happened to their club and who's been in charge and stuff. It's like, in European football, Duncan Ferguson, whether you like him or not, would be the perfect candidate to take over the manager right now. Forget, because I'm actually saying to Cam there, people want Duncan to go and get experience at Rotherham or somewhere to be the Everton manager. It's it doesn't make any sense. Duncan Ferguson has been at Everton for years and years and years. Coached at the highest level, got the highest badges, worked with top managers, worked with Carlo Ancelotti. Well, worked with other managers, worked with the top manager, Carlo Ancelotti. And if he was at a European club...
He's worked with the ex-Barcelona manager, the Real Madrid manager, the Belgium manager.
2 ex-Real Madrid managers. And and the Bolton manager. 2 ex-Newcastle managers as well. If he was at a European club, now, he'd be the perfect candidate to take over. The perfect candidate. If he was at Ajax or PSV or clubs in Germany or whatever, he would be the man at the top of the list. But because Wayne Rooney has had 40 games in the Championship, somehow that makes him more experienced to be the manager of Everton Football Club than Duncan Ferguson. I find that just mental. I don't care if he's managed day to day for over a year. This fella's got so much experience, and in European football they would probably just look at that and go, wow. That's top clubs would go, wow, that fella's got all the experience there and he's at your club. So no, I think it's, but Wayne Rooney's nearly got as much experience as Frank Lampard did, and Frank Lampard got the Chelsea job, so I don't know. But just going by European football, Duncan Ferguson would be the perfect candidate. Club idol, been on the coaching for years, and is ready and wants it. But there you go.
Yeah. Dennis says all the fans are saying there is a severed connection between the club and the fans. There is. Tim Jenkinson's talking about Newcastle, says they have loads of money and they can buy their way out of trouble. Won't matter if they're 15 points behind, and who's going there on the bottom of the league. See in the next 3 games, Newcastle. See what happens. Liverpool, City and United.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And then Everton. So maybe they'll win 1 out of 4. But we'll see what happens, eh? Anthony Long says, I'm not bothered if Dean leaves. He's not been playing well for some time. Other players at the club also need a few harsh words in their ears as well. But Dave Coakley says Duncan needs to go away and do the Rangers job or similar. Him not doing that alone makes me have reservations about him. Okay. I mean, like I said, there's no right or wrong answer for it. I personally think Duncan could do. I think he's a better candidate than some of the names people put forward. Don't care if they've managed the club before. Evertonians don't seem to know what they want if Benitez wasn't the manager. This was the issue in the summer. It's like, you know, seeing someone say Nuno, give Nuno a chance, and it's like, why? Another fella who lasted 10 games at Spurs, and they were just like, no, mate, you're just not very good. Go and take a European manager. Who then? Who's...
Well, look at...
Everton need a specific
Let's go back
type.
to Rooney, though. Right. What had Rooney done before he managed Derby?
Nothing. Played footy.
Yeah, was he player coach?
He was player coach and wasn't great.
Being a coach for 4 or 5 months.
That was it, yeah.
Took over because he was probably the cheap option. Because they skint.
Yeah.
So what's he done? Like...
He's doing a good job.
No.
But he hasn't done anything.
He's managed the club for 40 games. Does that...
It's the same with Arteta, though. People wanted Arteta. And it was like... And yeah, he was viewed as a better option than Ferguson. He'd been a coach at City for a couple of years because he made Pep's brew for him. And yeah, Ferguson had been a coach for years at Everton. So it was, do you know what I mean? Listen, Mikel Arteta may turn out to be a much better manager than Ferguson. You'd never know until they were both doing jobs, would you? But Arteta's not exactly doing great, and he's spent close on 400 million since he took over. So he's doing all right. But he would never have been given that job, you know what I mean? Unless someone decided to take the chance on. At some stage, people take a chance on people, don't they, and go, you're our manager then, and off they go. We took David Moyes. Yeah. He was at Preston and had done a good job at Preston, but he was at Preston. Yeah. And we just went, you're 38 he was. Yeah. We went, we're just going to, because you look like you've got the hunger and desire, we want to take you as a manager. Is that as good a grounding, being at Preston, as other than being a coach at Everton? I don't think, whether you like Ferguson or not, it's fine. Again, I'm not trying to convince people. I'm just saying it's how I see it. But there's this thing that
there is a perception.
He's been at the club and we haven't been very good. If anyone can tell me where they go into their job and ignore what their boss tells them to do and does their own thing and it's great, then sound. I don't know many, but I don't know, because all the jobs I've had, I mean, apart from Ned, all the jobs I've had, once the boss tells you to do something, you do it.
One of our academy guys, what was his title? Martin Tingill.
Who?
Martin Tingill.
Walton.
What was his job title?
Martin. Joel.
Yeah, done into space.
His son. Oh, the one who went. Oh, I can't remember his name. Perkins.
Yeah.
Chris Perkins.
So what was his job title?
He was the academy recruitment fella, I think. Head of recruitment for the academy.
So the fella who's at the recruitment for the academy, who isn't the greatest academy in the world.
Yeah.
Basically, Spurs headhunted him and took him.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Newcastle just took one of Liverpool's, haven't he? Leyland. Martin Leyland, I think his name's from Liverpool. Just gone there. So at some stage, someone gives someone a chance. Do you know what I mean? If it was Duncan Ferguson, if Everton sat down and he went, right, we've got a choice to make here. Duncan Ferguson, or it's Julian Nagelsmann, or it's, you know, Pep Guardiola, or something like that. And of course, you'd go, no, mate, we're going to go with proven managers who've done this, that, or the other. But, you know, clubs like Bayern Munich give Hansi Flick the job. And he was amazing, as you know, and other clubs, Ajax do it with their things and all that. So it depends what you want. Like I say, there's not, for me, I just look around and think, well, if Benitez went, no one really is jumping out at me at the moment. So, like you say, Graham Potter maybe, but would Potter come here where at the moment we don't last very long when you're Everton manager? We haven't really got the players. Look how awkward we are in possession. And yet Potter plays possession football. So if you could get him here, it'd take him a while to get this team to be able to do what he wants. And that, I mean, Brighton are doing all right, but they're not in Europe every year, are they? They're doing okay. Would he be able to get Everton into so whoever comes in would require patience. Yeah. And it's then, did he get the club? Did he know the club? Or can he cope with the expectation and the anger that is bubbling under the surface of this football club? It's very difficult to know who is right for Everton. the one thing where Ferguson would have an advantage over all of those people is he knows the players, he knows who it cheats, he knows the fans, he's played for the club, he knows the Premier League, and he knows exactly what we demand or what we expect. Yeah. I'm not saying he's perfect for it, far from it, but it's who else we could get, that's the thing, without taking a gamble. It's people like Marco Rose and that in Germany, or Adi Hutter, who you could go, they look like they've got something. People had mentioned Ralph Hasselhoff, but Southampton haven't done anything with
Someone will get it right to a point. I'm not saying get it right and win the league. Someone will get it right to a point. But I don't know, it just makes me laugh the way we perceive stuff in this country. This idea that someone has to go out and get experience at some little small club or something to get
it. I think people I think are just looking for evidence. So they say he did go to Rotherham for argument's sake, and they were doing well and playing nice footy. That would be evidence then.
But even people if they weren't doing well though.
No, I know. But like people would look and go, well, look at him, he's managed, he knows how to manage and he knows how to set the team.
I appreciate that,
but it could go, he could still be a good manager, and Pep
Guardiola managed Barcelona B. Zidane managed Real Madrid.
I know.
B.
Steven Gerrard got the Rangers job from nowhere.
Yeah,
from coaching the under-18 academy at Liverpool. I don't even think he was the manager.
And they're a big club. Yeah. So the idea, someone will go, well, he went to Rangers, didn't he? So that's good experience. No, but Rangers are a big club. And they haven't won the league, and
they give him the job.
And he was the under-18s. Think about it like that. Like if you were a Rangers fan and someone went, yeah, you're gonna get the under-18s.
Well, the fella who was the most highly rated at Liverpool was Neil Critchley, who was there under-23. He was the one who people were going, and he got Blackpool, and he's doing all right. He's got them up. But what I'm saying is, Rangers never knocked on Neil Critchley's door and went, do you want to be our manager? Did they? They took Gerrard because he was a name. Fine, he's done a great job there, and he's doing all right at Villa. What I'm saying is he got the job, didn't he? So it's the same with Wayne Rooney. He got the job because someone went, we need a cheap option. You're a big name, you might be able to galvanise. Same way Lampard got the Derby job, finished playing. Get John Terry, who's won a lot of stuff. No, I know, but
there's a bit more to that though.
Yeah, well, there will be, yeah. But there's other players as well who will probably get a go where maybe they shouldn't. It's that weird footy because we want players to come through, don't we? Yeah. We want players to be in the academy and build up and get better and be in our first team. Yet we don't want managers to follow a progression. And yet Duncan Ferguson started with the development squad at Everton, so training people on a Friday night and all the kids. Then he went to the 18s and he worked with the 18s. And then, he didn't go to the 23s, but did he really need to? He went from the 18s into the first team because Martinez liked what he was seeing. He wanted the striker coach for Lukaku. And he's been there ever since.
Now he's the assistant manager. He's worked with Carlo Ancelotti as the assistant manager.
And had 4 games as the manager, and we didn't lose one of them.
The thing about it is, though, whether people think he's good enough for the job is one thing, and I understand that. Yeah. But it's this idea that you can't have someone, that you need someone who has to have had experience. Here's a news flash, we've had lots of people with lots of experience, and they've been absolutely garbage. Yeah. So... it doesn't.
What's difficult is being able to choose the right man.
No, of course it is, of course. But I don't subscribe to this thing that your manager has to have experience, because lots of top clubs prove it wrong all the time. Lots of top. Hansi Flick goes in. He's been assistant manager at Bayern Munich. Okay, he was assistant manager of the national team. He wins every trophy he can win. He wins the European Cup, the World Super Cup. Chisel dizzle, the league, the cup, Super Cup, other Super Cup. He won European Super Cup. He won everything with a team that when he took over were near the relegation zone in November. They got beat 5-1 on Kalvach's last game, I think it was. And he took over and he just went, and he just knew. And listen, people are like, he's an amazing tactician, blah blah blah. Bayern Munich just went, you're the interim manager at the end of the season, and then they give him the job.
Like I said, there's no perfect science to it, because like you just said there, we've had some hugely experienced managers who haven't been able to do anything with it. And that's the way it is. But I just look and think, if Benitez was to go, who would we get? It's difficult because no name really jumps out and goes, he would be, because there's no perfect sign, especially at Everton. Everything else seems to be a bit of a mess. We almost need someone to just be able to grab everyone and just go, right, we're going, this is what we're given every week for this club. Moyes did it. Last time we were in a mess, Moyes did it, and it enabled us to get some stability. And only money, really, I think, stopped Moyes winning something at Everton, because he couldn't build the squad to the way he wanted to, and we got close a couple of times to doing well. As in terms of, we lost in an FA Cup final, we lost in a couple of semi-finals, we lost League Cup semi-finals, we were in Europe, we finished 4th, we finished 5th. He did really well. Now you look at it and go, God, you can come in and do that. And there's not many about, is there? Gareth Hughes says, was anyone else watching City 7, Leeds 0 last night and thinking this will be us on Thursday?
I wasn't watching it, so...
Matt Hector says, so is Rafa basically admitting he's out of his depth? I think that's by him saying it's harder than what he thought. Maybe just I think what he meant was, with the injuries I've made it, the realisation of the squad, I think. And I think most Evertonians will have been able to tell him that squad's not great. Underneath your best players, your best 11, 12 players, there's a big gap, isn't it? You can always cope with the odd player being, well, you can kind of patch up the odd player being out, but once you're changing 4 players out of your team and your better players,
also though,
and there's not even like for like,
you get to work with people on a day-to-day basis, and what you might find is players you thought were good aren't very good, or can't adapt to the tactics you want. Footballers have got to be more than just good footballers. They have to be tactically aware. They have to be able to adapt to new tactics, new situations. Whatever that is. You have to have that little bit of cleverness. That means you can go in and go, right, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. The manager might have thought he could come in on day one and go, lads, we're going to zonal marking, dead easy. This is all you have to do. And we're now in December and we're still conceding goals from set pieces. Yeah. Poor goals from set pieces. Goals. And he might be like, this isn't that hard, lads. No, last season when you were doing it with the last fella, why can't you do it for me? Now we can all go, well, you should have just left it. But the manager like, no. Why can't you just do this basic thing? Zonal marking, just stay in your zone, and when the ball comes, header it away. Dead easy, lads. You might be thinking, why can't you do that? There's you might look at it, we've got good players. Or I thought we had good enough players. Because actually, if we hadn't conceded so many goals from set pieces, we'd be 4 or 5 places up the table. Easily. By not conceding.
We lost games from set pieces, didn't we?
Look at the Watford game.
Watford, Wolves.
We see that out.
Palace the other day.
We see that out if we're not conceding stupid corners. They're not scoring any other
Wolves
way.
Was a set piece and a back pass. There's your Wolves defeat. Watford, we give free kick away, goal, away. Second equaliser,
Two
corner,
set pieces,
give away, and then we just went to sleep, didn't we? Palace, corner, goal. It's basic corner, stuff. Liverpool was just mistake, and they cut it back, and the goals have been there conceded. If we could cut the goals, stupid goals out, we'd have half a chance of getting some points on the board. But it's mistake, and you're right. Manager, he might have come in and thought these aren't a bad squad, bad set of players. These, I'll be able to do this, and this. The injuries have killed them, and the players have killed them by making stupid mistakes. And he's added to it as well by tactically being poor, which I thought he wasn't. Jez says if Rooney was brought in, it's because Managerial on the mushies is totally besotted with celebrity and his Hollywood signings. Ultimately, he might believe he'd attract great signings, but then again, we have no money to spend, so what's the point in doing that? Rather big dunk, bring back some firepower than Rooney trying. Unless, of course, we have sales already lined up and expect to sell Pickford and Dean and bring fresh numbers. I don't know.
Pickford, no.
Kev Rex says, I honestly don't think he's going anywhere. All I'm doing now is open for a COVID lockdown for the next 2 games or even right through January so we can get new signings in. Adam says, I am firmly of the opinion that we will get relegated. Firstly, I don't actually think we're very good, in fact terrible. As you often hear the phrase, hard work beats talent when the talent doesn't work hard. Given we're a terrible team of lazy players who either can't or don't want to get their hands dirty, I see no way out. if you asked me to name 3 teams I think we could beat right now, I would struggle. Can change though, kind of, Adam, because you wouldn't have said we beat Arsenal last week because we were on a poor run. I mean, I thought we wouldn't. I think people thought we had the chance, but that just shows you that they can. But they've got to get their hands dirty, haven't they? Chris says, has Rafa got any chance of getting us fans back on side? I want Dunk as much as the next blue, but currently Rafa is still the guy in charge. So we may need to just grit our teeth and do what we can to get behind the team and the current manager. I understand we'd be asking a lot considering the horrendous run, but what else can we do? Sack him and throw Duncan under the bus with the current injury situation. Keith Powell says, Man City last night, 602 passes, 92% accuracy, 7 different scorers.
Oil money, mate.
Yeah.
Forget it. Know what, right? Forget about Manchester City. Forget about Chelsea and forget about Liverpool. They do not belong literally in the same league as us, and they might get their way eventually. But out of those 3 teams, it's not even. A fella scored his 2nd goal last night. He cost 100 million quid. It's Kevin De Bruyne just smashing them in for fun. It's not even worth worrying. No, what they do. They play a different sport. Play a completely different sport. And I'd take my hat off if I had one to Liverpool for keeping up with them. Because the other 2...
Liverpool have squeezed every drop out of everything, haven't they? And done it brilliantly.
But don't get me wrong,
leave
they still
everybody.
spend a lot of money
as well.
And the wages are ridiculous.
Well, Liverpool's wages are unbelievable.
Especially for players who are going to the 30s. But those 3 teams, you know what? I would never, ever, ever worry about those teams in terms of getting beat by them or where they finish in the league or, because they play a different sport. I've watched bits of them in games, obviously, and then against us and stuff, and you just watch them and you go, we're not on the same planet. The rules don't even allow us to kick them anymore. The great leveller, it used to be the pitch, and then you could still be a little bit naughty, and you can't even be naughty anymore. And yet, the players are so fast now that they just get away from your plays anyway. So,
and especially when your players make mistakes.
Yeah.
Richard says, so the job is harder than he thought. Does he mean that he doesn't know the city? Dean is not.
Maybe it's because they've changed the stand. Maybe he's like,
and they've knocked the flyover down behind the library, and it changes when you're driving.
That's a big blow. It's a big blow to getting.
He wants to get onto Dale Street.
If you want to get onto Dale Street, that's a big blow because what might happen is he might go down and then he's confronted with that weird roundabout. And if you take the wrong turn, you're going through the tunnel, and then he's like, "I'm going back home now.
I'm home now.
I don't want to go home." I said, "But I'm on my way home, so what's the point of going back?"
And I've used the fast tag thing. It's tough.
I'm supposed to be going for this meeting at the live buildings, and I'm on my way home.
Fair play. In Bromborough before he knows it. Richie goes on to say he's not buying that Luca Dean is ill.
And he's just leaving.
And he's not buying that Dom is injured.
No, Dom's injured.
Fire sale here. No, he says.
No, that's just nonsense.
No, Dom is injured. Luca Dean may or may not be ill, but I'll be put it this way, I'd be amazed if Luca Dean is still an Everton player in January.
What you're saying is Dominic Calvert-Lewin's literally give up 5 months of his career, not played for England in that time because he's getting sold. Come on.
He's more likely to get money for him if he's playing well and banging goals than saying he's injured for this long.
Dean, I get.
Dean. Yeah.
And if someone comes in for Dean, he'll go. But come on. That's...
I'll be surprised if Luca Dean, if Benitez is still an Everton manager in January and Luca Dean is still an Everton player when that window shuts, I'll be very surprised. I'll be pleasantly surprised, but I'll be very surprised.
Yeah. I mean, be sad because we've got a France top over there with Dean on. So.
Jamie O'Neill says, this is the lowest I've ever felt as an Everton fan. I honestly can't get behind anything the club is doing at the moment. Can't see which direction the club is heading. Scary times. Hazel says, since the departure of Moyes, I've seen us get worse. Started watching Toffee TV around then. I think I've never seen a team give up or be arsed like us. It's sad. While I wasn't overjoyed at Rafa being appointed, I do feel sorry for him to some extent. He has a bunch of mediocre players who haven't seemed to want to play for any manager or the badge for a long time. Some of them should be ashamed as they do not appear to be even trying. Fortunately, I will be comparing at a local event, so in Plymouth, so won't have any notifications on tomorrow night. I hope we fight them and end our poor run at the bridge.
Don't worry about it.
Can't see Hazel, but you never know. Gary says, I don't think Rafa's going anywhere until after the January window. Anyway. Chris says, to play devil's advocate, could the falling out be with Dean that he made a wish?
Big DV.
To,
the big DV. Devil's advocate.
Yeah, the big DV. Could it be the falling out with Dean?
I mean, advocate spelled with an
is because he made a wish. So yeah, he made a wish to move away from Everton, and he's been dropped for that.
I think it's because Luca Dean basically has a bit of an agreement with Everton that he would stay with Everton as long as he can play for as long as it doesn't affect his French spot. Mm-hmm. And I imagine he probably thought the way he was playing and the lack of getting forward, because obviously he plays for France. He's up against Hernandez for the left back role. Oftentimes they play three at the back and he plays as wing back. So obviously he's got to be playing as an attacking full back. He's not been playing an attacking full back. You're France. Their manager's just going to go, okay, I'll go.
He's gone up with like Hernandez is there and that.
That's what I'm saying. So he'd be like, okay, if you're not playing well and you play for Everton, I'll look at one of these other
amazing
14
players.
Amazing left backs that I've got. So, and he's like, hang on, I play for Everton because I play every week and that gives me an opportunity to play for France because otherwise I'd be sitting on the bench somewhere. And it's a case of that, isn't it? And now he's not. So he's obviously gone.
His agent wants. I think his agent wants.
You're affecting my ability to get in the French team. Either we, and now it's a case of, well, you'll have to go, mate.
Jake says if we go back down to lockdown footy and stick with this manager, we're absolutely finished, by the way. Benitez will probably be quite happy with lockdown footy. No crowd there, wouldn't he, for a few weeks? I reckon he probably would.
No pies.
Michael Wood says, lads, I'm 37 and this is the most mental time I can ever remember us having. I'm aware that everything is under the magnifying glass now because of the internet, but I don't think there has ever been a time where the players or staff worth keeping are our only saleable assets. There are very few people in the club that are just keeping their heads down, grafting and achieving their best. Everyone seems to be either underachieving or at a point where they can't improve much in this team. It's like having just the top and bottom rungs on a ladder, and the fans are the only ones who have to climb it. Phil says, lads, why does Benitez keep saying we'll have a great second half of the season? He has said this since about week 5 of the league. To me, that's a sign of a poor manager who can't get the best out of the players.
Probably because, one, the injury situation. He probably expects the injury situation to clear up, which it isn't necessarily doing. 2, he probably expects us to get a couple players in. And there's rumours of a possibility of getting a new left back in. So he probably thinks, get through this busy time, pick up, between now and the end of the year or the beginning of the year, pick up 10 points, let's say. Possibly. He could definitely get to after the Brighton game and have 10 points, couldn't he?
He could.
And 10
points. He got 3 home games and 1 away game.
So if you've got 10 points, you'd be looking at the situation going, well,
that's 28 points.
This looks a lot rosier. And then you'd be like, imagine we come out the Brighton game, we had 28 points.
Yeah.
And we were like...
You'd need 4 wins.
And we were buying a few more players. And we were buying a couple of players, left back and right back. Let's just say.
Or loans.
Because do you know what the situation... what's funny about the Dean situation? I'd sell Dean. Like, if we could get a left back in, I'd have no problem selling Dean. He's 28, 29.
28, yeah.
Right?
Big money.
Decent money. Bring in a young replacement. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I think that's good.
He is a hell of a player, man.
But I think that's good business, though, Baz. No, for a club like Everton, at 28 to 29...
If he wants to go, especially, That's the thing, isn't it?
No, I know.
No, but that's got to be key as well.
I understand
I
that.
agree what you're saying. What I'm saying is, especially if he wants out as well, you're not forcing him out because he's a really good player. But if he wants out and you've got a replacement, then fine.
But I think for a club like Everton, no, we have to be a bit more realistic.
We have to be about Leicester, don't we? That's what people have said.
And think, sign a new contract. So now we've got the ability to get a bit more money for him. January's not the best time to sell, but you might get a couple of bites because he's not European Cup tied. And you never know, you might get someone decent knocking for him. You might get like a PSG knocking for him, going, we need a left back and he's not cup tied and we can play him. And you never know. I think if you've got a replacement and you buy a replacement first, I don't think it's the worst thing. Especially, I mean, if you're falling out with them, that makes it even, I suppose, better business. But I know, listen, I love Luca Dean, he's brilliant, but I just don't think it'd be the worst piece of business ever.
I just think if he wants to go, it makes that decision easier. Well, if he doesn't want to go, then no, because then it's emotion. You want him because he's a really good player. AJ says, if you were to interview Rafa, would you ask him why he's yet to clap the fans?
That's one of the things, isn't it?
Do you think he doesn't clap them because... Although
this is why.
I think he did clap them early on, didn't he?
This is why.
But in case he gets people giving him the fingers.
This is why the football club needs to grow up and start saying, this can't, like I said earlier, this can't go on. We can't have this. We can't have this. Like, what Benitez, I know he said something today. He said something in the press conference about the fans being brilliant. Sound.
Has he?
So that has to start coming more, though. Like, yeah, obviously he had a really good relationship with the Newcastle fans. But we have to start getting this thing where at least the managers is acknowledging the fans. And even if it's in a press conference, like, I don't understand why people in football just go, that didn't happen. Oh, just be like,
weird,
it's weird. It's
like
we all see things in football all the time. We all hear things, but football fans just go, or clubs just decide to go, oh, that never happened. Oh, that never happened. Or where it's like, why don't you face it up and say, right, let's do something about this. Let's sit them in a room with some fans and let's get an understanding. Let's get an understanding of what's going on. If you're the manager, you're going to stay the manager. Let's get an understanding, because this just can't go on like this. Yeah. Can't go on for the rest of the season. Where you know, who's to say you get a few people and they go, oh, yeah, I was in that meeting, and you know what? He's all right, him, and actually he's got a few decent ideas. Social media, it doesn't take much these days with social media to put that kind of information in the right people's hands. Not saying ours, by the way, people that just call us up the club's arse. But if you put people in there who were like anti-Benitez, but were prepared to have a chat with them about football, surely he's enough of a grown-up and a man to go into a meeting and go, as long as we all act like grown-ups and no one calls anyone in our bed, then surely, if you can walk out, and even if you walk out that room and you agree to disagree, as long as you find out what his ideas are for the football club, then surely that's got to be...
Well, it can only help, can't it? Glenn, no, we didn't do dizzy penalties, but we did do some good stuff.
Dizzy penalties in the time of COVID is probably not the best.
No.
Done all the crossbars.
We'll wait, we'll just see.
Don't ruin it.
No spoilers. Mitch Smith says
I mean, some people tried the crossbar challenge.
No, the policy's quite good.
Mitch Smith says Lampard as a perfect replacement if Benitez goes.
No, I'm not having the Tory like.
The Ingu says no way Lampard.
Like putting Gary Barlow in charge.
Anthony Long says judge Rafa when he's built his own team rather than inherited a poor group of players who can't be described as a team. Fair enough. Gaz says the Burnley game is gone now as well. Yeah, it has. It's off, isn't it? It's off. Brian says bunch of millionaires running around after a ball. The game is dead, lads. Yeah.
Well, it is, and that's
we know that, don't we?
But that's why I don't understand why football clubs run away from the fans. It's like we're the only things left. keeping the thing going. Like, for clubs like us, as far as I'm concerned, like, don't run away from your fans. Grow up.
Stuart says, look at the team Big Dunk drew with United with, and you will believe in miracles. Yeah. He had 6-5 players out from the Chelsea game the week before.
The Leicester game was pretty poor as well.
Yeah. Will Lewis asked a great question. Baz, when was Lucas last on it though? No, it is. It's a great question. Will, I know. I think he's got that lovely left foot, and it's when he is on it, he's really good. And you don't want like quality footballers to leave your club.
No, and I appreciate
that. But if he wants to go, then what can you do? If he really wants to go, if he just thinks Benitez is staying and I don't like him and I don't want to play for him because of this, that and the other, I want out. I'm 28. I've got a big move in me. Maybe his agent speaking to a couple of clubs and they're like, we like him. We like PSG, whatever.
I'll tell you what, he'd have been at some clubs if he got another big one, wouldn't he?
Oh, yeah.
PSG, Roma, Barcelona, Everton, of course.
Lille, he started that, didn't he? So he's a really nice footballer.
He's the kind of player where you wouldn't be shocked if a Bayern Munich came in for him. No. And we're like, well, we need a bit of quality.
See, if Cancelo wasn't so good, I think City might come in for him.
Because Chelsea, man.
He'd pet this.
But Chelsea,
he could, because Chilwell's
out for a year, isn't he? So
Alonso's not great. But Chelsea allegedly are ones who like him.
They play 3 at the back.
They play 3, so, you know, I mean, who knows? Let's just see.
You can have them for 57 million.
Yeah.
Plus. Which one of where players?
Kazuri says David Ancelotti apparently is the one pulling the strings in Madrid behind the scenes.
Maybe he is.
Yeah. Ewan says predictions for tomorrow, lads. I can't see anything other than a Chelsea win. We'll have no players as well. We'll be so. I think I'll be amazed if it's 3 or 4, not 3 or 4-0 to Chelsea.
Nias's dog's playing up front.
Yeah, well, Nias is on trial, so maybe we get him back.
Amazing.
World Hash says, I want to see Big Dunk as our manager. Give him a go. Remember when we beat Chelsea and Dunk was our manager? The atmosphere, the passion, the fight. That is Everton. Rafa out, Big Dunk in.
It is.
Mitch says Luca Dean is doing 2 people's jobs though at the moment.
Why is he? Is he painting and decorating?
Possibly. Yeah, he's not doing anything at the moment, is he, mate? And he would have to do that though, because Damari Gray's playing in front of him, who is very much a front foot player. He's not someone he does come back, he's not like Richarlison level of work rate, is he? So
the thing about it is, right,
it's just difficult.
What you want to, like, this is the conundrum, isn't it? The manager has played him in a position. The player doesn't like the position. The player has gone to the manager. They've fallen out. Therefore, the manager said, well, you're not playing then. What? Like, we did a video about this last week on Patreon. It's like, you can have a chat and then see if you can, but if the player isn't playing the way the manager wants him or doesn't like it, it's only going to go one way, and that's the player leaves the club. It's as simple as that. If the player decides he doesn't like the way the manager plays him, the player will leave the club. It's as simple as that. And that's everywhere. That's every club. If the player has to, whether you think it's right or wrong, if he's the manager, the player will always end up leaving. And that's that.
Well, Anthony Longer said no player can be bigger than the club. Yeah. And if Dean and others don't want to play for the team, then get rid. Andy Gallagher says, good hiding tomorrow, Rafa will be out by Friday. Steve P says, Baz, do you think we missed a trick not signing Jeremy Frimpong from Celtic? Leverkusen only paid 10 million for him, looking like a really good young right back. He's doing well, isn't he? He was one, a name was bounced around. I like Ridley Baku. I really do think he's one who Everton should go for. Nathan Patterson, he looks like a perfect Everton player, the Rangers kid, doesn't he? Calvin Ramsey's another one, the lad at Aberdeen, only 18, really up and down, good right foot on him. He looks like one we could go for. But yeah. David Snook says Neil Patterson from Rangers and Knight from Derby. Time to get hungry fighters in the side. Big Dunk for the rest of the season. Ride momentum. Especially in the FA Cup. Find a Toff and a long-term manager. Yeah, but if Dunk come in and did well, why wouldn't we just have Duncan as the long-term manager? Why would we then need to look for a long-term manager?
But this is like sort of what I was hinting at. It's like...
Chris Wilson says, being a great discussion, make sure you hit the like button.
Hey, thank you.
Make sure you subscribe as well.
Thank you, big
Thank
CW.
you very much. It's right, Chris.
said this before, we've never won a trophy when the manager hasn't been an ex-player.
Yeah.
So take that as you take. We are a very strange football club. I know everyone thinks that their club is different from everyone else, but our circumstances are just so different from everybody else's. We're a huge club, but we're a huge local club in a worldwide game. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
but it's also, I agree with that, but it's also, we like specific things.
No, I know.
Like, we don't like what Liverpool
no, that's what I was
do
about
and their
to say.
fans
Well, that's what I
do.
was about to say.
Just-
We're a huge, local football club, but it's a world game, and we don't want to become like that, but we can't stay as we are because we're going nowhere, being as we are, and there has to be what I find again. I'll go back to the Duncan Ferguson thing. Is we've tried everything else. We've tried one of the greatest managers in the world was our manager. We've had one of the literally the firefighter. Was our manager. We had a up and coming foreign manager. Was our manager. We had a Dutch legend who has gone on to manage the Dutch club, the Dutch national team very successfully. Went to Barcelona, okay, bombed massively. Became the Barcelona manager. Didn't work at Everton. We've tried everything.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just go, yeah, let's put Duncan in charge? Because we've done everything else, and the thing that seems to work for Everton is actually staring us in the face. Joe Royle was the Oldham manager, and we made him our manager, and he won us a trophy. We called for him at our darkest time, and he came in, and he galvanised the football club, and we went on and we stayed up and we won the FA Cup. And only through lies and stupidness did he leave and it all fall to bits. You know, Howard Kendall came in at a bad time, got hold of the club, got rid of all the shite, brought in real hungry footballers one by one. When he came in Everton, it wasn't like this thing where it was like, oh, they all came in. It was like one by one and a couple of
7 at first and not 5 of them were crap.
But one by one, Gary Stevens was, I think he was already there, wasn't he? Ratcliffe was already there.
The youth team, yeah.
And it's just a couple from the youth team.
Kevin Richards, yeah.
When they got Nev and one by one, and then added to it even when we
Degsy from Tramia.
Then even when we won the FA Cup, he brought Bracewell in and he brought Psychopath in. And it was just like that little thing, and it's like, it works. It's what we are.
We need to find something that we all identify with, who can do it the way we need to do it. We're not like other clubs.
The problem is,
we've tried so many different things.
The problem is, there's people at the club who are terrified of other Evertonians being idolised more than they are.
Yeah.
And I'll give you one example. Neville Southall being literally bombed from the club for the last 20 odd years. Why? Because he has a different opinion to those people at Everton Football Club, and he's literally been bombed for 20 years.
He should be held up.
Where he should
free
be
tickets for life.
Should be like at every game. He should have something. He should have a lounge named after him.
One of the biggest world-class players we've ever had. Yeah. Goalkeeper, just unbelievable.
But he's been put out to pasture because he doesn't agree with, because his standards are higher than other people's standards at the football club.
Gray Lee doesn't watch Toffee on Twitter. Says he has completely unfounded issues with Ferguson, believes his own made-up garbage. AJ says, on what you said yesterday, Ped, about Dunk, you'd know he was given everything. If Rooney took it, would you feel the same way?
Yeah, because I think if Rooney was the manager of anywhere, I think he'd give everything. Everton, I do think it would be extra, because he is an Evertonian. I know he left it. Listen. I don't hold on to those things about Rooney, because we know for a fact that the football club needed to sell him and did sell him. It was a fire sale. They concocted a story to make it look like Wayne Rooney had left the club on his thing. But Wayne Rooney said on Tony Bellew's podcast about 3 months ago, I was forced out of Everton. And once I knew I wasn't wanted,
that was it. He
I went to the only club I wanted to go to, and that was Man United. He said they were trying to get me to Newcastle and Chelsea. He was like, I'm not going there. Going to the club I want to go to, which is Man United. And he got it there. I don't feel... Listen, time passes when we're younger, we feel angry. I remember when Gary Speed left. The shite that was written about when Gary Speed left. And people believed it for years. And it was only when around the time he died that it started to come out, the truth about what had happened. Other people might have known it for years, but this was before, like, the way the internet is now. And all that kind of thing. Same with Rooney. When Rooney left, can you imagine when Rooney left, Twitter would have gone, loads of people would have gone on Twitter going, this is not how it's being played out, you know, lads. Now you can't manufacture stories because no one believes the media and no one believes the football clubs.
And someone will come up and tell you.
No one believes much anymore. But the simple, like, Rooney, I think would Rooney's given everything to Derby. And I think he'd give everything to Everton. Listen, I'm not expecting him to be the Everton manager. I don't think he should be the Everton manager. I think Duncan Ferguson should be the Everton manager a long time before Wayne Rooney is. A long time.
Yeah.
Because I do believe not only if both of them have got the passion, and I think people will get behind them, but Duncan Ferguson I do think is actually qualified. I believe he's qualified, and I think he might be the missing ingredient. And if he wasn't, he wasn't. But you know, I'm getting to a stage, and I've been at this stage for a while, right, where I just want to go the match and go. Looking forward to going to the match on Saturday. It's going to be great. Where I don't want to be sitting there. I know for a fact on Saturday night I'll be like, tomorrow 12 o'clock. Start to get the nerves. Oh, what if we lose? And what happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? I get like that before games now. I mean, I'm not like that about tomorrow because, quite frankly, we are going to be everywhere and there will be no loop. And it's... I'm not arseful tomorrow.
Last few minutes, let me race through these. David Snook says some of the best moments in the past 4 or 5 years under Managerial came when Duncan Ferguson was in charge for those few games. Ewan says, totally agree, Ped, we need Duncan because it's been proven. The press don't mention that Rafa took Newcastle down either. Another point, Farah had left Arsenal because he wasn't good enough, and it's been shown. Anthony Ungi says, if Rafa has to go, Everton get beat. Possibly, Ant. Possibly.
Maybe.
Mr. Dorf says, I'd have Big Duncan all day, every day. Most fans will get behind him and give him time to develop the team. Plus, he knows the club inside out.
He does. And as you said before,
he wants.
He knows everything about everyone now at that club. He knows everyone from top to bottom. And that's half of the reason some people are a little bit worried about him. Could you imagine if he got the power at the football club? Could you imagine what that would mean for some people at our football
would have
club?
to go.
Listen, we have had the conversations with them. People have gone to me, when people go, why'd you do this and why'd you do that? I laugh at people when I hear them. I laugh at them, and I've seen people talking about this week, going, he's been the problem, he's been there. If he was any good, he would have got the job, or he would have got a job anywhere else. Duncan Ferguson is an employee of Everton Football Club, and he respects the fella he has to work for. Therefore, if he's told that he can't have a go at players, he can't. If he's told he can't jump up from the dugout and have a go at players, he won't, because he's an employee. But mark my words, if that day comes when he's given the job, you watch the difference, because he knows. He knows how he wants to play. He knows the players he wants to play. He knows the people he wants to bring in. He knows who he wants to get rid of. And he knows about the people that other departments of the football club as well. And I think there's a few people at that football club who might be a little bit worried about that.
Nicholas Sadlier says, all that is wrong with Everton is 2 words, club culture. Anthony Elsman says we should have took Moyes back, seeing what he's done at West Ham, given the time. Rafa needs time to change the mentality. World Hash says 100% couldn't agree more. Ped. Abigail says I have Big Nev or Howard as a goalie coach. Anthony Ungi says Big Duncan charge till the end of the season. At least the players have respect for him and know he doesn't accept nothing but the best. Tim Jenkins says Danny Cadamarte would be good coach for the youth.
He's a Chef Wednesday, isn't he?
Anthony says one reason Dunk shouldn't get the job is because he's too close to the players. He'd not be strong enough to tell the players
I think he is, though.
who don't perform to push off. Are you messing?
You're messing.
That's Anthony. I have to disagree with that one. I have to disagree with that. This is the fella that put Moise Keane on and took him off 20 minutes later because he wasn't doing what he asked him to do.
Honestly, the fella.
No, not. I don't believe that one.
Honestly, the fella is like. It's like. Honestly, it would kill him not getting that opportunity to be Everton manager because he's so ready to be the Everton manager. Honestly, he's so ready to be the Everton manager.
But even if he's good enough or he isn't, and you don't think he should get it, that's fine. But the one thing I wouldn't agree with is he wouldn't be strong enough to tell people to do one, because I think he would. He knows them inside out. But whoever it is, we need someone to come. If Benitez is going to stay, that's sound. Well, it's all right. But he's got to be better, because what he's doing right now, Rafa Benitez, isn't good enough for Everton Football Club. His decision-making process, subs, is poor. Injuries have hampered him, yes, massively, and other things. But he has got to be better than himself. He can't moan. Yeah. He's got to be better, because he's not good enough at the moment.
Like we said though the other day about the manager. Imagine if the manager just said to Dunk, "Go out there on the touchline.
You start making more of an impact."
You start I mean, it doesn't even have to be technical things.
No.
Imagine if Dunk, right, had jumped up on Sunday when Benteke, who should have been sent off, had gone through Seamus Coleman. Jumped up. Jumped up.
You see, someone like Mourinho would do that with Ferguson. I'm not advocating for Mourinho, not at all. Don't want him to manage it now. But if he had Ferguson, he would be saying, you jump up there because I don't need to. Or Mourinho would be running. You see that thing, which is quite funny, that when he played City that time and he were laughing, and then they realised he should have been booked because he'd been booked, and he's laughing, and he goes, the fella tells him, and he goes, threaten the pair of them, run to the two. It's dead funny. That's the kind of thing you'd have got from Mourinho,
but
where
that's like
Benitez, it's not his character.
Stuff at Everton, there's so much stuff like that at Everton at the moment. Like when Coleman got fouled there, he should have just stayed down till the ref was like, hang on, what's going on here? Check that VAR, lad.
That's it, isn't it? Oh, well, right, that is it. We are done. We've done an hour and a half. So we were a bit late, but we've done an hour and a half. So there you go. Thanks very much for joining us. Thanks for all your comments. Hit the like button. Really appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't. And we'll see you soon. Take it easy. Bye.